Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. This proposed rule from the VA will absolutely move folks from lower percentages to higher percentages, and many can move from 70% to 100%. This is a really important rule change that has been proposed, and I'm double tapping it here because people need to be aware of it, so that way when it does go into effect, you can be ready to go. Here's the thing with proposed rules. They turn into actual rules for the VA, but then if there's a positive change to how the VA is going to rate something, you need to take it upon yourself to file a claim for the increase. If you don't, the VA will not do it for you. So with that, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I truly appreciate it. And with that, the two asks, right, are always, look, hit the thumbs up, let the video run as long as you can. If you can't, look, I get it. Look, not everybody has the time or the desire to let the video run, but if you do, please do so. It really does inform the VA. It informs YouTube that you're interested in this content or it's important, and it pushes it into the hands of others. All right, so there are all kinds of proposed rules out there coming from the VA. Just a little recap off the top of my head. They are extending, and this is not what this video is really about, but I'm just throwing out there, expanding the areas of coverage and time frames for Agent Orange exposure. Huge. That's a proposed rule that we should be seeing come to fruition at some point. They are looking to change GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, which is currently rated under hiatal hernia. They're looking to change that and create its own diagnostic code as GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, which is that bad heartburn, currently rated up to 60%. And they're looking to change that and rate it under another diagnostic code. I think it's esophageal stricter. And so in that, you can actually get up to 80% with that new rating schedule once that goes into effect, if they keep the same as they have proposed. Now, the other bunch of proposed rules out there are the elimination of tinnitus, which is not a good thing, right? So tinnitus to be completely eliminated as a rateable condition. That it might come to fruition. They may actually come through and eliminate tinnitus as a rateable condition. They instead will utilize tinnitus as a symptom of another condition or disease that then you could get rated for potentially. But if it's just tinnitus alone, they will not rate. So there are and have been options to put public comment into these proposed rules. Who knows? Who knows where that's going to land? There was a lot of negative feedback to tinnitus being eliminated. So who knows? Maybe they'll drop it to a 0% for connection purposes or compensation purposes, but still have you service connected. So that may happen, which would actually, in this situation, that would actually still be a win, because you now have tinnitus as a rateable condition with the ability to hang secondary conditions from that. We'll see what happens on that one. The other proposed change is going to be what? Let's see. Sleep apnea. Sleep apnea. They're looking to reduce that. If you're treatable. So if the VA deems you as being effectively treated, even with a CPAP, they will no longer give you that 50%. And, you would be grandfathered in, don't worry. For new people, for new claims, if this change goes into effect and you're on the new rating schedule with a new claim, then the 50% is gone, and now if you're treatable, they will have you at a 0% potentially. And the next two here are really what I want to dive into. One of them is Respiratory conditions such as asthma and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, the proposed rules would significantly lower the requirements for a 100% rating, which is good. So they're going to lower the requirements for a 100% rating. Okay, and again, the tinnitus one, it says here the proposed change would recognize that symptom within a veteran's broader ailment and provide service-connected compensation for tinnitus through the disease to which it is attributed. So they have to find a disease, something like Meniere's disease or something. So the big one here to me is the proposed rule for mental health. Okay, there are two things that they are really proposing for mental health. And one is they're going to get rid of the 0% rating for mental health, allowing the minimum to now be 10%. So no matter what, a 10% is the minimum. There is no longer a 0% if this goes into effect. Now, the big piece here is how they're going to rate it. They're going to do away with the rating schedule that is currently in effect. And one of the biggest things on that current rating schedule is in order to hit 100% rating for mental health, you have to have total occupational and social impairment. Okay, well, if you think about that, well, fine. Okay, I get total social impairment, right? I don't like people. I'm cool hanging out at my house. Don't really want to go anywhere. Okay, so that makes sense. But guess what? I can't live on what I'm making. I need to actually go have a job somewhere. So I force myself into these very, I guess, it depends on the job, right? Maybe you're doing a job where you don't have to see anybody. But whatever, you have to go work to make ends meet. Otherwise, you're going to live on the street. So the total occupational piece is difficult for some folks. To be able to get to that 100% because they're working, right? They don't have a total occupational impairment because they're forcing themselves to go to work. Now, with regard to that, the VA is going to eliminate that requirement if this rule goes through, which is huge. So I want to read through this directly from the VA, from their press release on this specific rule. The proposed rules for mental health conditions would increase the minimum disability rating from 0 to 10%. The rule would get rid of a dated part of the rating schedule that prevents a veteran from getting 100% rating for mental health condition if they're able to work. And that's that total occupational impairment that I was talking about. So they're talking about getting rid of that. VA will ensure veterans get the compensation they need and deserve, especially when it comes to mental disorders. Under the proposed change, VA plans to use new evaluation criteria to more accurately capture the different domains of impairment caused by mental disabilities and provide a more adequate compensation schedule for financial losses experienced by veterans with service-connected mental disorders. It's all good news. Rather than assigning an evaluation based on the number and type of symptoms present, these changes would evaluate mental disorders based on how impactful the disability is across 5 domains of impairment. 1 is cognition. 2 is interpersonal interactions and relationships. 3 is task completion. 4 is life activities and navigating environments. And 5 is the all-loving self-care. Okay, so those would be the focus for rating, and there's no issue with regard to occupational impairments. So it goes on to say here, for veterans and their caregivers and other partners can read the proposed rule for themselves on the Federal Register, which is where everything gets posted up. If you go to the Federal Register and you type in VA PTSD or proposed changes, you can scroll down and probably find it. You already missed the window to provide feedback. That's only a 60-day window. Now, here's the thing. For those that are already rated, again, even if it's a negative change, you will be grandfathered in. The VA says here there will be no change to any veteran's current rating based on these proposed changes. When the proposed changes are final, veterans who are currently receiving compensation for a service-connected condition can apply for an increase in that compensation. So if it makes sense, then it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, then don't touch it. So everything that you currently have will be based on the original criteria from when you got rated. So here's the important piece here. If and when the changes go through, you yourself will need to actually file a claim for an increase if you deem it appropriate. And I would say yes, no matter what, with mental health, you'd probably want to go that route unless you're already 100%, of course. So with that, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.